Hello and welcome to this new section on report writing and regulatory filings in this course AI for risk management and compliance sections. So in this section, we will give you a good idea about how can you use AI for excellence in reporting and regulatory filings. And we will begin by taking a look at how can you use natural language generation for report writing. So, any thoughts on how can you use NLG for report writing and automate report generation for compliance bodies with accuracy and consistency? Any thoughts? Using NLG for report writing allows organizations to automate the creation of compliance reports with speed, consistency, and regulatory precision. Now, these energy systems transform structured data like audit logs, transaction records, risk scores into readable and domain specific narratives. And that enables the compliance teams to meet regulatory demands faster, more accurately, and with reduced manual effort. Having done that, let's take a look at why use NLG for compliance report automation. Little more detail on why should you use NLG for compliance report automation. You know, we will compare the traditional reporting with the NLG driven reporting. In traditional one, you can write manually and it's time consuming, whereas NLG driven reporting is automatically generated from structured data. Then the traditional reporting is prone to inconsistency and errors, whereas uh, energy driven reporting, AI ensures consistency in language, tone, and structure. There are static templates in traditional reporting, whereas there's a dynamic text based on data trends and exceptions in energy driven reporting. And lastly, to mention here, traditional reporting requires compliance domain expertise, whereas NLG driven reporting uses rule books, glossaries, and trained language. So that's why it makes good sense to use NLG for compliance report automation. So let's take a look at some common use cases of NLG in compliance reporting. You know, the first thing that you can take a look at is one of the use cases to take a look at is the regulatory disclosure, like SOX and GDPR. And an example of this reporting would be that with the help of AI, you report that no critical data breaches were reported in Q2 of 2025, etc., etc. Also, you can use this compliance reporting through NLG for internal audit summary. And here a report could look like of 3,482 transactions reviewed, 12 were flagged for escalation, etc. Continue. Then for vendor risk profiling, you can use. And you could say, as a result of this use, you could be saying vendor XYZ remains high risk due to continued delay and ESG issues. Also, this energy-driven reporting can be used for incident investigation reports, and the report could start by saying an excess violation occurred in May 12, trace to credential leakage, continue, right? And you can also use it for SAR and STR narratives in banking and anti-money laundering that a unusual pattern of transfers observed involving, offshore accounts. So these are the common use cases of NLG in compliance reporting. So let's take a look at the steps how to use NLG for compliance report writing. Let's take a look at that. So you need to begin by defining the report structure and the regulatory requirement. And there you can start by, start with headings, sections, and KPIs. Uh, like risk ratings, exceptions, and changes. You could then look at regulatory language required in terms of FINRA, ISO 27001, GDPR phrases, and then you could look at the tone. You need to define the tone, whether it is a neutral, evidence-backed, or professional. And also you need to build a report skeleton with the placeholders for data-driven content. So that's how you define the report structure and regulatory requirements. Then you prepare the structured data inputs. You feed energy system with the compliance logs like system access, PII access, internal audit results. Then you also feed risk engine scores, regulatory checks, and incident or case summaries. And your data sources could be, Snowflake, Excel, SAP GRC, Jira, ServiceNow, and SQL databases. So that's how you prepare the structured data inputs. Then you can use an NLG engine to generate text from the data. And there you can use template-based NLG for high control and consistency. You could use rule-based NLG with having, if-then rules ideal for deterministic content. Or you could have, AI LLM-based NLG for nuance summaries, variability, and insights. Let's take a look at an example of the template using rule plus AI hybrid. Now, in the section of access control violations, your rule and program could look like this. There are bracket the data, and you have this template, right? So there is a text, and in brackets you have the data that will get automatically populated. So if you provide the inputs on the data like a number of violations equal to 10, 12, periods equal to Q2 2025, etc., the system will generate an output that will look like this, which says there were 12 excess violations reported in Q2 2025. The majority, 83%, were due to the credential sharing. Compared to the last quarter, this reflects a 25% increase. So that's how you can generate text report from data using NLG engines. And the example here we have given you is a rule-based NLG. Then let's take a look at automating the text enrichment with domain language. Now, NLG systems can use compliance glossaries like ISO 27001, GDPR terms, etc. They can also expand acronyms like PII could be converted into personally identifiable information. Also, they can use regulatory tone, example shall as required under. And an example of this would be that NLG doing the text enrichment and reporting that user login attempts outside permitted hours constitute a violation of the section 3.1 of the information access policy. So this is a good example of a text enrichment with the domain language and NLG generating such a report. Then you need to review, edit, and iterate using human in the loop. So you can't leave everything to AI per se. And to do that, what you need to do is in the pre-generation step, you need to define the tone, level of details, and data logic. After generating the report, you need to humans need to review, human reviewers validate and approve the text, and then provide the feedback loop in the last step with the corrections used to fine tune future outputs. So that's how the review, iterate, edit, and iterate using human in the loop can happen. Now, what are the tools you can use there? You can use Azure OpenAI plus LangChain. You can use Area, NLG, or Wordsmith with automated insights. So, like this, you can have the editing and iteration done using human in the loop. Then you have outputs to send to the target formats and systems. You can deliver reports via PDFs, things like regulatory filing, audit exports. You can use the Word document for editable internal reviews, and you can use web dashboards for real-time compliance status. And you can integrate with Power BI with NLG commentary layer, SharePoint and GRC system, DocuSign, Jira, Slack for alerts and workflow. So DocuSign, Jira, and Slack are for integration for alerts and workflows. What are the tools and stack for energy compliance automation? So for data preparation, you could use Snowflake, BigQuery, Excel, Python. For template-based energy, Area Energy, YesSoft, AX Semantics. For LLM-powered energy, you could use OpenAI GPT-4o, Cohere, Cloud, Writer.com. For prompt orchestration, you could use LangChain, prompt layer, guidance. For report generation, Python, uh, then Jasper Reports, Microsoft Power Automate, and for output and publishing, the very familiar Word, PDF, Streamlit, SharePoint, and ServiceNow are your tools and in the stack, technology stack. Let's take a look at a compliance report example using NLG. So we're looking at three examples. The first example of the report could be on data privacy compliance report in GDPR. And a summary of the report could read like this. It could say, all 3285 data access requests were fulfilled within mandated 30-day window. There were no reported breaches of PII during the quarter. Looks very professional, right? Example two could be of vendor risk assessment summary, where you get a report done which says vendor ABC's ESG report dropped from 72 to 58 due to recent litigation involving environmental concern. A reassessment is recommended. So action is recommended. Example three could be anti-money laundering SAR narrative in a banking industry. The customer conducted 14 cash deposits totaling 120,000 US dollars across three branches one week, followed by two large international transfers. This behavior is inconsistent with their known profile. So that's how the compliance reports could look like using NLG. What is the benefit of using NLG in compliance? You know, it leads to faster reporting. And it cuts, as a result of that, it cuts days of manual effort into minutes. Also, the reports are more accurate and consistent, and that removes subjective variation of formatting errors. Also, the reports are a lot more explainable. It justifies data-driven compliance decision clearly. They are scalable across jurisdiction because they adjust languages for EU, US, APAC, Asia Pacific region, and they're ready for with the audit trails that supports documentation and regulatory audits. So these are the very many benefits of NLG in compliance. So what do we do next? So we will look at the second part of reporting and regulatory filings. There we will look at how can you use template-based document automation tool to generate report for compliance bodies with accuracy and consistency. So thank you so much for watching this first lecture on reportings and regulatory filings in this course. I hope you're continuing to learn new things, continuing to enjoy, and I do look forward to see you again in the next lecture. Please feel free to message me if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer your questions and do download the PDF file to take a look at anything that you need to.